The sign here, the sign on this cap.
Let me tell you the story about this sign. When the Lagos State governorship election was conducted on January 9th, 1999, Tinubu was declared the winner. Could you notice that on the day he was swearing in his commissioners and special advisors, there was no such sign on his cap?
I present with confidence my honorable commissioners and other members of my formidable team. They are all men and women of integrity, proving competence and goodwill.
Then, some years later, this sign emerged. So, there are two parts to the story of this cap and the sign. The first one started in 1993. After Babangida stepped down as head of state, he appointed Ernest Shonokon to be the interim head of state. But just 83 days after Shonokon took over, Abacha took power from Shonokon.
Fellow Nigerians, consequently, the following decisions come into immediate effect. The state executive councils are dissolved. All local governments stand dissolved. The National Electoral Commission is hereby dissolved. All processions in any part of the country are hereby banned. Any consultative committee, by whatever name called, is hereby proscribed.
Like this video, or you're hereby bound. So, Abacha bound every political activity, no political parties, no political association, and any meeting involving some group of persons can be termed a political gathering, and the people involved will be arrested. During that time, he also dissolved the Senate.
The national and state assemblies are also dissolved.
And Tinubu was a senator then.
So you want to cover and preempt any fallout of that investigation?
But they couldn't do much to stop Abacha. The implication was that there won't be any court to grant you freedom if Abacha decides to deal with you. So most activists and politicians went into hiding, including Tinubu and Soyinka.
As I've been saying just now, Abacha never governed the country. Yes, he terrorized the country. He bullied the country. He had power. He had no authority. He was able to torture. He was able to kill. He was able to take hostages. But he never governed the country.
But remember, before Abacha took power in November 1993, there was an election in June 1993, which everybody believed that Abiola won. But Babangida, who was the head of state then, annulled the election. After cancelling the election, there was massive protest in Nigeria.
Tensions in Nigeria groove presidential elections, which were annulled by the military after the People's Choice, Moshood Abiola, appeared to win. His ambitions were thwarted by the general's intervention. The unrest set a pattern for what was to come, as disillusionment and anger swept the country. Riots, particularly in the towns and villages of the southwest.
Without you, your determination, your courage, your support, our race and every other one will have been slain perpetually. We thank you for that.
Very soon, it will soon be 30 minutes. And when it is 30 minutes, we are going to make sure that we render Lagos uncomfortable.
Due to this protest and how there was chaos in Nigeria then, Babangida resigned, and that was how he brought in Ernest Shonokon. But after some days, Abacha took over from Shonokon. So even as Abacha became the head of state, Abiola was still fighting to claim his mandate. He believed he won the election and should be declared the president.
The people of this country went to polls on Saturday, June 12, 1993, and without let or hindrance chose me as their president. I won in 20 states, and I won the 1/3 of the vote in 28 out of 30 states and at the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja.
For this life, oh, na so palava. I tire for this problem, I tire for life, oh, Guinea. No work, no food, no house, no life. Abiola na the hope, oh, SDP na the party to solve our problem and better our life, oh. MKO, 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 action! Abiola, 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 progress!
So, after some time, Abiola declared himself the president of Nigeria, even as Abacha was still the head of state. This made Abacha to arrest Abiola and placed him in a prison.
What is happening at your house? Are you being arrested?
I'm being arrested. I'm just going out now with the police. there's a large crowd here, and I was being escorted out to detention by singing the national anthem.
Why are they arresting you?
They are arresting me on an allegation of felony, nameless treason or something like that. They're not doing anything, they're just taking me away. Please let me go. I'm delaying them.
And then every politically conscious Nigerian stood up against Abacha, because not just that he banned political activities, he also arrested those who were against his takeover of power. And if they continue to allow him to do so, it means nobody can speak against his government. So they secretly came together in May 1994 and formed a group called NADECO, National Democratic Coalition. Tinubu, Anthony Enahoro, Soyinka, Chukwuemeka Ezife, Chief Bola Ige, and more than 100 members, they all worked in different capacities in the group. The aim of the group was to pressure Abacha to step down and to also push for Abiola to be given his mandate. It was more like an anti-military and pro-democracy movement. But creating such a group was against the earlier warning Abacha gave that every political association had been banned. So the group was having their meetings and everything in secret until Abacha decided to pick them all up. The few unlucky ones were arrested, while many others went into hiding. In order not to be arrested, that was how they came up with an escape line called the NADECO route. Tinubu also took their route to run away.
And then of course there's a gentleman here who was an elected senator in 1992 in the course of Babangida's transition program. When Babangida annulled the 1993 election and General Abacha took over and dissolved the Senate, that senator tried to reconstitute the Senate in resistance to the dissolution. He was detained, charged to court. He escaped into exile.
Most of the politicians then who were against Abacha escaped and went into exile then through the same NADECO route.
The president of now also went to that route.
Tinubu went through that route?
Went to that route, yes, to escape with a what is it called now? This thing that Muslims wrap around their head, the turban.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to disguise when they were looking for him.
They all came back when Abacha died. Even years after Abacha, that particular route has been the escape line out of Nigeria for politicians who want to escape into exile. What does this NADECO route look like? Back then, if you want to escape arrest and go into exile outside Nigeria, there is no need going to the airport to escape from there. That would be the worst mistake to make, because once you get to the airport and submit your documents, you have already exposed your identity. The immigration office might have informed their officers about a person declared wanted. So if they can't identify you by face, they would identify you by your documents, and they would alert the authorities for your arrest. So what these men were doing those days was to take that NADECO route. From Ota, they take a bike down to Idiroko border and through the bush from Idiroko to Benin Republic, and then cross over to Togo. From Togo through the unfamiliar paths and find their way to Accra, Ghana. Then take a flight in Ghana to either USA or UK, depending on the person's plan and destination. But apart from escaping through this route, the group also learns how to disguise and survive political hostility.
Thanks to Achiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I went to him one day and I said, look, I need a bulletproof vehicle. And he told me what to do. One of the things he told me is, go and get many used cars, different colors, different shapes, different. So if I was coming to your house, before I got to your house, I would have parked a car in your house. When I get to your gate, I will wind down, greet everybody. Everybody will know I came in green under Accord. Nobody will know that I had maybe a Mercedes-Benz or a Toyota parked in your house in a different color, and I will escape, all windows wound up, without anybody knowing I'd left your house.
And so, many years after this struggle, Tinubu began to wear this sign on his cap.
And especially in the spirit of new dawn of a renewed hope, our government understands your problems. We share your plight and identify with your aspirations. We promise you that we shall respond positively to all your needs.
The meaning he gave to the cap was that the sign is a mark of the shackles he went through.
The sign on this cap is broken shackle.
The second meaning to the cap was the suggestion many people gave to the sign. People do suggest that the sign, which is more like an 8, also resembles the Ouroboros sign. But To the extent of my knowledge, after checking up the Uroboros sign, I discovered that this is not actually what the Uroboros sign looks like. This is what the sign looks like. It is just like a circle. So, I leave it for you to take a conclusion. What do you think? Don't